Hello and welcome back. We are ready to go ahead and do some drawing today. We need a couple of files though to help us get started with this so we're all on the same page. So we're going to go into our course and go into the daily lessons folder. You're going to find our project folder. So we're in Unit 10 Studio Inkscape-Cake and we're going down to the 10.04 Pen Tool Practice folder, and there's a page in there called Files to Download. So we'll click on that, and there are two trees. So we're going to start with the first tree. If you click on it, it'll open up as a preview, and you scroll down to the bottom and you click Download Image. That's going to go into your Downloads folder. We need the second image, so we'll click on our tree, scroll to the bottom, and click on Download Image. So we now have these two files downloaded to our computer, and now we're ready to open up Inkspace. So we're going to, again, find our program, and it knows me here, so it knew what I was looking for, Inkscape. I'll click on that. Program will open. When you get in here at the first window, now that we have something saved, it will show you your recent files. So we can actually click right on that file and hit load. And it always wants to put it over here on this other screen, so let me bring it over here. All right, so now we have our document just like we left it the last time we were together. We're going to go down to, I can't find my folder, so let's see here, folder, we're going to go File Explorer, and I'm going to find that Downloads folder, and in there you are looking for Level 1 Pine Tree. So I'm going to open Level 1 Pine Tree, and I click Open With, and it will open with a variety of different things. I know everybody has access to Paint, so we'll click on that. It will open this in a window like here, and all we're going to do is select all and click Copy. And then we will go to our project page and edit, paste. And feel free to use the keyboard shortcuts for any of this. I'm going to move this off to the side so we don't need it on the actual canvas. Okay, and I'm going to enlarge this. It keeps the proportion, something like that. All right, so I'm going to look at that. Again, to move my space, I just use the space bar and my mouse to move that around. All right, so with our first tree, it is the easiest tree, and we are going to use our pen tool. So if we go over here to our toolbar on the left side, we are going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tools down, and we get this pen tool here. Now with the pen tool, as long as you click, you will draw straight lines. If you click and drag, you will draw curved lines. For this project, we need straight lines. So that's why it's level 1. It's easy. So I'm going to click at the top of my tree and then go down and click at the side and over and down and over. And each intersection or point, I am clicking on that point. And we're creating a nice tree. Click, click, click. And when I'm done and I go back to the beginning, I'm going to click on that same place. So now I can go back to my Move tool. It is actually the Selection and Transform Object tool. And I can move that off, my image off, and I have my tree path here. With the tree path selected, I can come over to my Fill palette, and I can choose any color to move this out of the way that I would like, and I can fill in my tree. So at that point, all we're going to do is select our original tree and delete it. We don't need it anymore. We now have our drawn tree, the second tree that we're looking for. So we're going to go back to our File Explorer, go back to Downloads, and find our Level 2 multi-shape tree. This is more challenging. Again, I'm going to open with Paint. When I do that, I'm just going to select all and copy my tree. I can then go into my program and edit, paste my tree. So now I have, and again, I'm going to blow this up by grabbing the handles. This one, it is allowing me to change the proportion, but if I hold the control key, it keeps the proportions and doesn't distort the tree. All right, so there's our second tree we're going to try to draw. And this is where the pen tool becomes a little bit tricky. So I have a trick that I have found that I really like for using the pen tool, and that is to start by using your straight, sharp-edged pen tool. Okay, so do not click and drag. Again, click is straight lines. If I hit the backspace button, I can get rid of those. If I click and drag and click, it makes these curves that are sometimes hard to deal with. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by, first off, we're going to have multi layers with this tree. So it's going to have many parts and it's going to have these curves. So we're going to start with the dark blue or dark green part of our tree. So same thing goes. I'm going to click here at the intersection where that curve comes down and over at the other intersection. And then I'm going to pretend that this curve goes behind the tree here, something like this, over to this intersection, and you're like, I don't get it, Mrs. Goswick. Like, why are you drawing an awful octagon shape? Okay, so you will here in a moment. We've closed that shape with our pen tool. I'm going to go down here to the bottom so I can zoom in just a little bit. And I'll use my mouse there to, or my space bar and my mouse to kind of reposition so I'm in a little bit closer. What I'm going to do is instead of using the pen tool to draw curves, I'm going to use the pen tool to draw my straight lines, and then I'm going to edit those with the Edit Paths by Nodes tool in the toolbar. So I'm going to grab this, and what I'm going to do is going to click on this path right here, and I'm going to drag it up. Okay, now I can continue to do this, and I'm going to go around, click on this path, and drag it out. Click on this path and drag it out. And you can see how it doesn't quite match up over here. That's okay. But we want to be able to do the things we want to be able to draw. So you just keep playing with it and keep pulling your lines. We can move this handle if we need to. And if you click on the handle, you will see these new handles. These will help adjust the angles of things. So you can do that if you need to. But I find that it's just easiest to grab the line and kind of pull the line where I want it to go. And we're going to pretend like this goes down below. And for me, I found lots of success by doing it this way. Okay, so that is going to be my dark green part. So I'm going to go back to my select tool. I have my path line selected, and I'm going to go to fill, and I'm going to move it off to the side for a second. In the fill dialog box over here, there is an eyedropper. So we can click that eyedropper, come over and pick up this exact green and use that green for that background color. So I'm going to go back to my tool. I'll move that off to the side. So that's part one of our tree. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go back to my pen tool. And let's go ahead and do this grouping over here. So I'm going to start here, here. Again, I'm clicking at the intersections of all of these pieces. Something like that. Oh, it didn't close. So make sure I click exactly in that same spot. Then I'll go to, again, the second tool down, which is the Edit Path by Nodes. And I'm going to click on the lines and start to draw the lines out where I want them to be. Again, you can try to draw this stuff, but I've had way more luck drawing and then editing. I feel like I get a closer rendering of what I'm going for by doing it this way. Okay, and one last one over here. I'm going to I am in charge of this one because I don't know exactly what it looks like. I just have the little pieces on the sides, right? You're too far with that. Okay, so I think that looks pretty close, and I'm pretty happy with that. So again, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to fill, and I'm going to choose my eyedropper, and I need to first move the shape out of the way. It's going to go over there somewhere, but I'll choose my eyedropper and pick up this color here, so it's a lighter version. Now, what I do have on these two shapes that I just drew were a stroke. So you could go to the stroke and tell it no stroke and get rid of that. Or if you wanted to leave it on, I would be okay with that too. Okay, I'm going to choose both of them and turn the strokes off too. And then I'm going to do my next shape. So I go to my pen tool. I'm going to click again in the corners of every part of this, like the intersection. I'm putting these handles in and return to the start and connect it. Get my edit tool and start to pull out my shape. And adjust. Pen tool, I think, is one of those tools that can be very frustrating and can really stand in people's way of trying to draw in programs like this. And so, click off of it for a second. I got too many things happening. So I think it is discouraging to people. So this is not an easy task. That's why we're taking a day to practice this and get comfortable so that when we start to actually draw for our project, we feel good about how we're going to accomplish what we want to accomplish for our project. I need this edge to come out just a little. There we go. Pretty happy with that. This maybe a little bit needs to come this way. Just a tad. That looks pretty good. And so I'll do the same thing. I'll move it off to the side. Oops. Or I could move the whole thing, right? Move the image off to the side. Go over to my fill. Get my eyedropper. Select the color. And I just filled the line because I was on the stroke palette. It's hard to identify, I think, sometimes where you're at. So I'm going to take that, turn the stroke off. Now it looks like it disappeared, so let's be careful here. And we're going to pick up that eyedropper and choose the color we want it to be. All right, so now I'm going to move that over somewhere in here on my tree. Okay, starting to look pretty close. If you wanted to go in and add the highlights and the shadows, you are more than welcome to attempt those as well. It would just be working the same thing around the way. Now we're going to start and do our bottom here as well. And so I'm going to grab my tool. I'm going to start at the top. And there's no real intersection here, so I can put one here to kind of curve that way, and here. So they're not as sharp, right, as those corners are in the circle. And just kind of end. And so you can put more than you think you need. Okay, so that looks really crazy, right? So let me zoom in here just a little bit more. Use that hand tool to move up. Okay, and then we're going to edit our line. So again, second tool down. And I'm going to start by pulling this in. You go, wow, like really that awful sharp looking tool is actually going to make it look round and nice? Yeah, it is. but you just have to. I think I don't like this one here. So I think with this one, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to hit the delete key. And when I do that, it took that anchor point away. So, because I was like, I don't think I need it. I think it's going to get in the way. So I want to move this line back in. And this one in. You can see I kind of bounce around sometimes. I'm trying to do this. Okay, now this one wants to curve up. So I'm going to just grab this handle down here and pull it down. And then I'll grab this line and do the same thing. So this one, I might need to put a handle back in there. So let's add a node here. Let's see, nope. Okay, so if I want to add one, I'm going to come up here to the top, insert node into selected segment. So I'm going to click on that, and there it added one for me, right? So I'm going to click off of that, and I'm going to move it now. Go back in and select it again. Select the line. Move that. And just work with this. Oops, I need to zoom in. I lost the order here. Okay, so I'm going to put you here, and you are going to come into here. And pull your path line back down. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe a little adjusting there. Let's finish up here too. Pull this down. Curve that a little. Grab our line here. Something along those lines there. Okay, pretty happy with that. So let's see here. I'm going to click out. And then with that selected, I'm going to go to my select tool. I'm going to go fill, eyedropper, and pick up my brown. And I'm going to go stroke and turn that off. So now I've just created all the pieces and parts to this. So I can kind of come back over here and layer them back on top where they go. My placement. And because I drew them in the order that they are being placed, this is super easy, except for, all right, so there's my tree kind of put back together. All I'm going to do is click off of that. I'm going to click on my square, which is my actual tree, right? And I can delete that. I don't need it anymore. I have my tree. The problem is I want these branches behind those green parts here. So if I click on this green part right here, up here in the top, these are the layers. So I want to raise this section on top. So I'm going to bring that up, and look, it just brought it right on top. I do this one and I want to raise it, and it brings it on top, but maybe I want this one on top of that, so I want to raise it again. So you can kind of play around with that. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. And there is my completed tree, and with nice rounded curved edges. So that is your goal today, is to experiment and try to create a nice rounded tree, 3 colors for the green part and a brown base or trunk, and then a green simple pine tree. Okay, and at that point, you're going to go File, Save your project. Your file name is already there, so it's saving it for you. And then we're going to take our screenshot for the day. So let's take our screenshot. Make sure, again, that you are getting the drawing portion and your program screen. Lovely, there it is. And make sure you submit that properly. If you have any concerns or questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, I will see you back here for our next section. Good luck, everyone.